My dear students, how are you? I think all of you keep busy yourself to make your notes and your preparation as well. As you have no institutional class, some of you already wanted, if you get a chance to stay at home, then your preparation will be better not to go to school. And a national disaster make you a chance to make you a better preparation, I think. But some of you interested to come to class and participate as an active participator. Those who are interested to take up classes, this class is only for them. But those who are not interested, they can also be benefited if they follow the classes regularly. I think you are already well known about your English first word and second word, and both subjects carry 100 marks each. To gear up your preparation, my some of students advised me to take a class on first one, especially for this. I think this class is only for class 9, but as class 9 and 10 syllabus is same, that's the reason class 10 students also be benefited if they follow the classes. For your better understanding, I wrote some key notes on the board. Now look at the board. What is this? What is this and what's this? I think you have already guessed what I wanted to introduce about this. It is nothing but some shirt and drap. At first you see that there are three kinds of shirts here. One is high shirt. That imagine this picture looks as a file. For this reason, it is called high shirt. This pie chart has attached some number and percentage of the number, so that you can write easily following the numbers and data. Then we come to line chart. Line chart is also a graph. It is not only chart but also a graph, line graph. Line graph. Here I mentioned ABC to indicate the lines and graph. Finally, I also a graph that is called bar graph. This is common to you. This type of graph is common to the students of class 9 and 10 because all board questions are common. These types of questions and it will carry 10 marks each year of SSC. This is called bar graph. Here bar are stands here and the percentages are also mentioned. So you can easily understand first this. That means our today's class is graphs and chart. I have already told you that three types of graphs and chart in your English. One is line graph, another is pie chart, and rest of the bar graph. Now, what is the use of these graphs to include in your text. That means it's learning outcome. What benefit you get to follow that to follow these types of graphs? That means I included some learning outcome. That is the benefit of the graphs and chart. Number one, I think students will be introduced with different types of graphs and chart. If you follow the class, then you will be introduced with different types of chart graphs that I have already shown. 3 types of graphs and chart: line graph, pie chart, and bar graph. Number 2, students will be able to analyze a graph. I have read 3 types of graphs. You can easily narrate it if you understand my lecture. That means you will be able to analyze a graph. How can you analyze the graph? If you follow, then you will be able. Number 3 is you will find an example. That means I want to illustrate some of the graph. Then you will be able to understand the graph or chart here. Now, to write the graph or chart, you have to know some techniques of writing. I have also included the techniques of writing. Number 1, describe what the chart graph shows at the time period. You can see there are four stanzas here. Each stanza contains what types of writings you can easily describe if you understand the point. Number 1, describe what the chart graph shows at the time period. That means it contains a time period and there are lots of bar. You have to analyze this bar and time to write your introduction. That means question A, introduction. In your introduction, you have to describe the graph and time period. Only describe the graph and time period. Number 2, description. Narrate the sentences precisely as you can. Use data and numbers from the graph and chart. You can narrate the sentences. How can the number of percentages sentences as you can narrate it in your description. Use data. Then you have to attach data. How many data are included in the graphs or chart? You have to describe in your description to the graph or chart. Number 3, compare. That means compare the information, write similarities and dissimilarities. To compare the graph, you have to write the similarity and the dissimilarity. That means 2010 to 2018. What dissimilarities there in here? You have to write in your comparison. Number 4, draw a conclusion what the main senses or trends are. Then finally, you have to draw a conclusion. You have to conclude overall graphs so that the examinee or the teacher easily understand your writing. So you have to write a conclusion to narrate the graphs precisely. Now come to the next part. How can you write that? As your writing skill is not good, for your better writing, I have to make a list only for you, so that you can easily write the graph or chart. Here I have made two charts. One is for decrease and another is for increase. What type of verbs and adverb is used to describe the graph? I have make a list. Now come to the list. Top tips for writing. That means you have to use these verbs and these adverbs to describe the graph properly. Some verbs are related as suppose to expand, to grow, to pick up, to rise, to recover. Normal decrease. In normal decrease, you have to use only these verbs. If you add a subject at the beginning and add an object at the end, then it will be a sentence. You try to make a short sentence to describe to the graph or chart. Then come to adverb. Some adverbs are mentioned here: moderately, slightly, minimally, slowly, steadily, generally. In normal decrease, you have to use these adverbs on moderately, slightly, minimally, slowly, steadily, generally. For if the graph is rapid changes, that means 40%, but here 90%. Or if the rapid increase, this graph indicates the rapid increase of numbers. Rapid in the two, if the graph is seen rapid increase, then you will use this sort of verb to jump, to soar, to rocket, to escalate, to down. For rapid increase, you will use only this verb so that you can clearly make it clear the graph to the examiner. Then for rapid increase, you have to add some adverbs like substantially, significantly, considerably, suddenly, dramatically, sharply, stiffly. That means these adverbs indicate the graph is increased rapidly. Now come to the next chart. For normal decrease, if the graph is seen, the bar is decreasing, or chart is decreasing, or line graph is decreasing, then you will add this type of bars and adverbs. Normal decrease. In your normal decrease, you will use these bars like to decrease, to decline, to reduce, to go down, to drop, to fall. Some adverbs are also mentioned here to describe normal decrease: moderately, slightly, steadily, gradually, normally, totally, actually. This type of adverbs will be used to describe normal decrease. But if it's seen the rapid decrease, to describe rapid decrease, you have to add this sort of verb like to collapse, to crush, to plunge, to sink, to lessen. This type of verb is usually used to describe rapid decrease. For make your idea clear, you can add these types of rapid adverbs. Suppose substantially, significantly, considerably, suddenly, dramatically, sharply, stiffly, heavily. For you, dear learners, for your better understanding, you can take a screenshot so that you can look the graphs and chart and description and writing techniques or learning outcomes, etc. You can take a note. I think you have already know the fact how can you write and what is the benefit and techniques of writing and top tips for writing. These are essential to describe the graphs. Now I will show you here. Number 3, I have written as students will find an example. Now I will write an example how you can describe the graph. Dear learners, I have already told you to outcome. Students will find an example. Here an example I have said already. There are lots of board questions you can find easily to open the text paper or you related books to all boards, especially SSC and SSC. I have illustrated a graph here. It is a bar graph. Bar graph. How can you describe the bar graph? I have already wrote some techniques. How can you write? Describe what the chart graph shows the time here. That means it's an introduction to follow the graph. To follow, you don't narrate the graph here. You will narrate the graph in your description. To write introduction, you can start inside. The bar chart illustrates the number of internet users among the years of 2010 to 2018. The survey during the 8 years shows that the numbers of the internet users are increasing rapidly. That means what the graph shows. I have written this fact in my description. You have to write your description in this way. If you follow this introduction, you can analyze. I think you can analyze all types of graphs. Then come to description. I narrate the sentences precisely as you can. Use data and numbers from the graph or chart. That means here the bar is seen. I have illustrated the bar. How can it senses? Now come to my description point. It can be seen that the numbers of internet users is in 2010 remain 40%. That means 2010 the numbers of internet users remained only 40%. It is a starting point of the graph. In 2002, I can see only 40% people only use internet. But after the 4 years later, the number has increased very sharply. After the 4 years, that means 2010 to 2014. In this section, you can see the numbers of internet users increases 40% to 70%. So 70%. That means 30% internet users are more here. Then after 4 years later, in 2018, the users number have increased most significantly. That means in the past year we can see in 2010 only users are 40%, but in 2018 the percentage has increased 90%. They increased the most significantly. It has reached up to 90%. That means now you can see 90% users use internet in this session. I have already finished the description. If you follow the bar, then you will describe the bar in this way. Then come to number 3, compare. That you have to compare your graph in stanza 3. Compare the information, write the similarities and dissimilarities. That means you can compare the similarity and dissimilarity of the bar graph or a pie chart or line graph. You can find out the similarity like this. However, the proportion of internet users increased dramatically. From the that means it increased rapid increase. I use dramatically. That means the bar is increasing very rapidly. From 2010 to 2014, here 30% of users had increased 40%. 2010 to 2014, in this years the percentage of internet users increased up to 30%. That means 70% minus 40%. You can find easily 30%. Of the users had risen, but from 2014 to 2018, here users had increased total 2014 to 2018. That means this bar and this bar. Here two bar, between the two bar the increased number numbers were 90 minus 70. That means only 20%. Actually, we see that 50% users had increased from 2010 to 2018. That means from the beginning and from the ending, the total number of users had increased 50%. I think you will be able to compare the data if you follow the bar or graph or pie chart. What you can see, what you have to illustrate in the bar, then you can use the tips that I have shown. Then you will start writing the comparing. You will have to write your comparing in this way. Finally, stanza 4. Draw a conclusion what the main senses or trends are. That means the sense. How can the graph senses from ending to finishing? You have to write in your conclusion. To conclude writing, you can start in this way. Overall, we can see an upward trend. That means yes, in 2010 it was only 40%, but in 2018 it was it reached up to 90%. That means it is obviously seen that it is an upwards trend in the graph. The tendency of using the internet is increasing, keeping pace with the modern age. That means the graph also shows that how the graph is changing to keep pace with the modern age. I think a lot of users has increased by the increased number of users to show in this graph. But you have to analyze how can the increase is sensed from starting to finishing. Then you will draw your conclude. Actually, I think you have already analyzed. You have already guessed how can a graph or a pie chart can be analyzed. If you follow the indication, if you follow the illustration, then you will be able to describe your graph is given in your question easily. So today I have tried to make you understand about the graphs and chart. I have find out some features and techniques and some bars and adverbs to gear up your memorization. At first I have shown you what the benefit the graph will be carrying. There are 3 benefits I have shown. I have shown here 3 benefits students will get if they analyze the graph or pie chart. Then I have told you the tips. How can you start your writing? In your writing skill, you have to write the graph in 4 stanzas. I have shown here. First stanza, introduction. Second, description. Third, comparing. Fourth, conclude or conclusion. Here I have also show you within the 4 stanzas. Number 1, introduction, description, comparing, and conclusion. As a young learners, you don't have enough words in your memory. To gear up your memory, I have shown some words and some adverbs to describe the verb, to describe the phi set or line set or verb describe. For your better analyzing, you have to follow the chart that I have already shown. That means some verbs, some adverbs. It may be increase, may be decrease. I think you will follow the class and will get benefit from the from our today's lesson. Most of the students and learners don't write the question number, these types of questions to make them clear. I have made a plan to describe the graphs or chart. I think you will be benefited if you follow. Keep studying. Don't try to move outside of the house. You can get proper preparation. If you follow your online classes, then you will be 100% benefited. Otherwise, you will be loser. Your brain will be damaged. To gear up your brain, you should follow the online classes and keep pace with the modern age. Thank you.